Hello, English learners. Welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be bringing you a very useful lesson about being sick.
Yeah. We're going to learn how to tell your boss that you can't go to work because you're sick.
Exactly. This is really important because we all get sick and sometimes you just can't go to work.
Yes. Or maybe sometimes you just don't want to go to work.
Exactly. Maybe you're lying.
Yeah.
But we're going to be teaching you how to do it anyways. So before we start with our dialogue, let's take a look at vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
In this vocabulary preview, we have two words for you. The first one is quite ill.
Quite ill.
Quite ill.
So quite ill.
Very sick.
Very sick. Quite is a synonym of very.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And ill,
Sick.
sick.
Yep.
So they both mean the same thing. No difference.
No difference at all. I just think ill is more common in British English.
Exactly. All right. Let's take a look at our second word. Flu.
The flu.
The flu.
The flu.
So the flu is a virus.
Yeah, it's a sickness.
Okay. And it's very similar to a cold.
Yes, but just a lot worse.
A lot worse. So it's stronger.
Yeah, yeah. It's also called influenza.
Influenza. Exactly. So the flu. Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue. What's going to happen here today?
Well, we're going to listen as Julie calls her boss to tell him she's sick.
All right, but is she really sick?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Hello, Daniel speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Daniel. Julie here.
Oh, hi, Julie. How are you?
Actually, I'm feeling quite ill today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong?
I think I'm coming down with the flu. I have a headache, a sore throat, a runny nose, and I'm feeling slightly feverish.
See, so you're calling in sick.
Yes, I was hoping to take the day off to recover.
Okay, then. Try and get some rest.
All right, so Julie didn't really seem to be sick, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. That cough was just a little too much.
It seemed like she was acting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at some of this vocabulary in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
We have 5 words for you here, and these are all great words to describe a sickness, right? All right, the first one, headache.
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 So when you have a headache, you have a sore head, right?
Right, your head hurts. So it's pretty simple.
Yep.
You have a headache.
It's the way you feel after being at the bar too late.
Yeah, when you drink too much, you
Yeah.
get a headache.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at our next word. Sore throat.
Sore throat.
Sore throat.
Sore throat.
So basically, we have 2 words here. Let's look at the first one. Sore.
Hurting.
It hurts, right?
Yep.
And your throat is...
Well, it's the part right here where at the back. Well, you can't see me. Well, it's the part at the back of your mouth that goes down to your stomach.
All right, that's your throat.
Yeah.
So you use your throat to swallow. Okay. Now, we can use the word sore with different body parts, right?
Yeah. Like a sore back.
A sore back, right? Or maybe you were playing tennis all weekend, so you have a sore arm.
Or even a sore neck.
Right. So the word sore. Let's take a look at our third word. Runny nose.
Runny nose.
Runny nose.
Runny nose.
This is a very strange word,
I know.
but it doesn't mean that your nose is running, right?
No, but okay. No, but when you have a runny nose, there's lots of water coming out of your nose, right?
Right.
So it's interesting though, because when you run, you go fast, right?
So a lot of water is
Coming fast out of your nose.
out of your nose. Runny nose.
Yeah.
Okay. Our fourth word today, slightly feverish.
Slightly feverish.
Slightly feverish.
Slightly feverish.
So again, slightly is
A little bit.
a little bit, right? A little bit. And feverish.
Well, let's break this word down. We know fever, right? So when your body is very, very hot because you're
Right.
sick. So feverish is the feeling of your body being very, very hot.
Okay, so you have a high temperature.
It's not that you have a high temperature, but you feel like you have a high temperature.
Okay, so slightly feverish. And our last word, to recover.
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 So this means to get better, right?
Exactly.
Can you only use it when you're sick?
So when you recover, you get better and you rest. So maybe you can say, I was so busy this week. I need to recover this weekend.
Okay, so yeah, if you feel tired or
Yeah.
you feel sick, you can recover. Okay, let's listen to our dialogue again, and we can listen to these words that we've just talked about.
Hello, Daniel speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Daniel. Julie here.
Oh, hi, Julie. How are you?
Actually, I'm feeling quite ill today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong?
I think I'm coming down with the flu. I have a headache, a sore throat, a runny nose, and I'm feeling slightly feverish.
I see. So you're calling in sick.
Yes, I was hoping to take the day off to recover.
Okay, then. Try and get some rest.
In this dialogue, we listen to some really interesting phrases of how you can tell your boss that you are feeling sick, right?
Yeah, some great phrases. So let's look at these in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, let's take a look at our first phrase on Fluency Builder. I'm coming down with.
I'm coming down with.
I'm coming down with.
I'm coming down with.
All right, so let's listen to some examples and then we'll come back and explain this interesting phrase.
Example 1.
My throat really hurts. I think I'm coming down with a cold.
Example 2.
You have a runny nose. Are you coming down with the flu?
Example 3.
I don't feel well. I think I'm coming down with something.
Okay, so basically coming down with means
Starting to get sick.
I'm beginning to feel sick.
Yes.
Okay, so you can use it with I'm coming down with the flu,
I'm coming down with a cold.
or I'm coming down with a cough,
Yeah. Or I'm coming down with something.
with something. You don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take a look at our second phrase. Calling in sick.
Calling in sick.
Okay, calling in sick.
So this phrase is great. You know, when you say I'm calling in sick, you're saying, hey, I'm not going to come to work today because I am sick.
Okay, so literally it means that you call your office
Yeah.
and you say you're not going to work.
Yes. But it's great because it's 3 words that show such a long idea.
Right, because otherwise you would have to say, I'm calling because I don't feel well, so I'm not going to go to work.
Yes.
But if you say I'm calling in sick, everyone knows
Everyone understands.
that you're not going to go to work.
Yep.
Okay, now let's take a look at our last phrase. Take the day off.
Take the day off.
Take the day off.
Take the day off.
Now, this is a great phrase. To take the day off is to
Not go to work.
on that day.
Yes.
Now, you can say take the week off,
Take the month off.
take the month off, or
Yeah.
take the year off.
If you were so lucky.
All right, so take the day off means to not go to work on that day. All right, let's listen to our dialogue again now, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Hello, Daniel speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Daniel. Julie here.
Oh, hi, Julie. How are you?
Actually, I'm feeling quite ill today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong?
I think I'm coming down with the flu. I have a headache, a sore throat, a runny nose, and I'm feeling slightly feverish.
See, so you're calling in sick.
Yes, I was hoping to take the day off to recover.
Okay, then. Try and get some rest.
Well, Marco, have you ever done what Julie did? Did you ever call your boss to say you're sick when you're not really?
Yeah, of course. I mean, sometimes you just don't feel very well, but you're not really sick. You just don't feel like going to work.
Yes.
Or sometimes you have something to do, right?
Yep. You know what we call those in Canada? We call them personal days.
Personal days.
Yeah. So you say, oh, I'm going to take a personal day, meaning
Oh.
I'm going to call in sick, but then go shopping.
We used to do that a lot because, for example, soccer games are such a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes you would have a soccer match between, I don't know, Brazil, and it would be maybe at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. So everyone would call in sick on that day.
Yeah. So the boss at least could plan that he would have an empty office.
Yeah. Or sometimes you would take half the day off. So you would just go, you say, well, I'm not going to make it in the morning, but I'll come in the afternoon.
So you would recover very quickly.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little bit sick, but I'm going to be better in the afternoon.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, if you have any questions or comments, please come to our website. And if you have any calling in sick stories, please let us know.
Yes, you can visit us at englishpod.com. And Marco and I are always there to answer your questions.
All right, folks. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast, where we explore fascinating stories behind the words and phrases we use every day. I'm your host, Liv Morgan, and today, we're diving into the origins of two words that are not only common in English, but have traveled across the globe: orange and tea. We'll uncover how these words evolved through trade routes, cultures, and languages. Stay tuned as we journey through history, exploring how these everyday words came to be.
Podcastandenglish.com, we're talking about the origins of two very common English words.
Yeah. So, in general, the word for the fruit orange has three forms, variations of those forms. So you have either the word orange, Portugal, or applesin.
All right, Jackie. So where does the actual fruit come from then?
Oranges, like all citrus fruits, come from Asia, South China, North India. And it was the Arabs who were the first to trade, to import the oranges into Europe. And the Arabic word for orange is naranj.
Okay, so it's arancia in Italian, naranja, is it? Laranja in Spanish, orange in French, and of course, orange in English.
Exactly. No, but then what's interesting is the Portuguese, also big explorers and merchants, they brought the sweet orange to Europe. So many languages call the fruit after them. So in Turkish, it's portokalo.
Portugalo?
Right? In Bulgarian, it's portakal, right? And in Arabic, for the sweet orange, it's bortukal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Wow. But you also mentioned applesin.
Yes, that simply means apple from China, and it's used in countries like Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Russia.
Now, I've got a drink that only, as far as I'm aware, has two words.
Right.
It's tea or cha, possibly chai as well.
Yeah, variations of those words, right?
And again, it's to do with the origin of the word and the trade routes.
Right.
Okay, so obviously tea again comes from the Far East and China. Both words actually come from the Chinese, but obviously, as you know, they've got different dialects. Now, chai is produced in one dialect, and that one came through the Silk Road, okay, through the land routes to Russia.
Through Central Asia, then?
Central Asia to Russia and Eastern Europe, so they all say chai.
Okay.
But the Brits, of course, we call it tea, and that comes from the Dutch, and they got it from the coast of China, from South China, where their dialect, they use the word tea or tea.
Okay, so what route did the Dutch take then?
Well, there was the sea route through Indonesia, India, Southern Africa, and Europe.
Okay, so that's why they all say tea there.
Indeed, and that's why we say tea in most of Europe.
Why is it, therefore, here in Portugal, it's an exception? They don't say tea.
They say cha, because obviously the Portuguese were great traders as well, and they got their tea or chai from Macau, where they use the word cha.
It's interesting, isn't it, Richard? Because people complain that nowadays globalization is a new concept and everything is becoming very similar throughout the world. But this is such a good example of two words, the tea or the cha, which nearly everyone uses. And that's because hundreds of years ago, the goods were either spread overland or traded by seafaring Europeans.
And actually, I do think there is one word which everyone uses throughout the world.
Ah, yes.
Well, I've certainly never been to a country where it was not used, the word taxi.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the English Daily Podcast, where we explored the rich history behind the words orange and tea. Before we go, let's take a moment to break down some interesting idioms and expressions connected to these words.
First, the phrase "a bitter pill to swallow"
can be linked to the tea drinking culture. Tea, especially green tea, was originally quite bitter in taste, and this idiom refers to something unpleasant or difficult to accept, much like drinking unsweetened tea might have been for some.
Next, spill the tea
Is a modern expression that means to gossip or reveal secrets. It shows how tea has become a social activity associated with sharing stories or juicy details, just like sitting down for a chat over a cup of tea.
4. Orange.
We often hear the expression to compare apples and oranges, which means to compare to very different things. This reflects how oranges, though part of the citrus family, are distinct from apples, making any comparison between them unreasonable or unfair.
And finally, the phrase "not my cup of tea"
is a classic English idiom meaning something that is not to someone's liking. Just like different people prefer different types of tea, not everything suits everyone's taste.
I hope these phrases add a little extra flavor to your English vocabulary. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'm Liv Morgan, and this is the English Daily Podcast, where every word has a story.
Welcome back to the English Daily Podcast. Today's episode is all about spreading positivity, even when the world feels gloomy. We'll be talking about small yet meaningful ways you can cheer others up, and yourself too. Whether it's donating blood, offering a helping hand, or planting a tree, these little actions can make a big difference. So stick around as we explore some simple yet powerful ideas with my co-host, Richard.
Everything feels gloomy. The weather is gloomy, the news is gloomy.
So for this week's podcast on English.com, we're looking at little ways to cheer others up and yourself.
So what do we mean, Richard, exactly?
Well, things you can do. For example, become a blood donor. It's a fairly easy and painless thing to do, costs nothing, yet can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and they say each donation can save up to 3 lives. So you'll feel better about helping others, and the hospital and patients will be very thankful.
Another thing you can do is offer to babysit. If you have friends or family that don't get out because of young children, offer to look after the kids for an evening so the parents or parent can have a night out.
Or even to offer to look after them during the day as well. Take them to the park. So again, the parents can have some time to themselves. Something else to donate, Richard, is food. Sadly, food banks in the UK anyway have become a vital source of food for many people who find the cost of living too high. So you can buy extra tins of things and drop these off at a food bank.
Yes, and also supermarkets often have schemes, don't they? Sometimes you can leave food at the checkout, for instance.
Yeah.
You can also volunteer. Now, this can cover a whole range of things, but there are plenty of organisations that need people to help.
Yeah, working in a charity shop, for example, volunteering to garden for those with physical disabilities.
You can even just go and chat to people or read to people in old people's homes.
I think also, Richard, give away the things you no longer need. Not worthless things, but like tools, for example. Tools that work, but you no longer use.
Yes, an old computer, sewing machine, gardening tools, things like that.
Find an organisation that could use them.
Talking about gardening tools, you could also plant a tree. So more and more evidence shows that trees are a good way forward of controlling climate change. Not just by providing shade and reducing carbon dioxide, but they are a source of food and shelter for so many creatures. And if you have a small plot of land, plant a small one.
And if you don't have any land, contribute to a tree planting scheme near you. Especially if you live in a town, they can lower a city's summer temperature by up to 8 degrees centigrade.
And also, in general, you can keep a lookout for little ways to help strangers.
Yeah.
For instance, giving up your seat on a bus or a train.
Opening the door to someone who would like you to do that. I'm thinking like a parent with a pram, for example, or helping to carry the pram upstairs.
You could also give a lift to someone. We live in a rural area and you often see someone carrying their heavy shopping back from the market. Even if it's only 1 kilometre or 2, that can be a great help, especially for old people.
Yeah, so I think what we're saying, Richard, is a friendly "can I help?" makes
Idioms and phrases explained.
Fairly easy and painless. Meaning, this means something is simple and doesn't cause discomfort or stress. Example, donating blood is fairly easy and painless. You just sit back while they take a small amount of blood. Cost nothing. Meaning, this means it doesn't require money. Example, becoming a blood donor costs nothing, yet it can help save lives. Make a huge difference. Meaning, a small action can have a significant positive impact. Example, by donating a few tins of food, you can make a huge difference for families struggling to afford groceries. Give a lift to someone. Meaning, to give someone a ride in your car. Example, on my way home, I gave a lift to an elderly neighbor carrying heavy bags from the supermarket.
Keep a lookout for. Meaning, to stay alert and watch for something. Example, when you're on the bus, keep a lookout for people who might need a seat, like an elderly person or someone with a child. Brighten someone's day. Meaning, to make someone feel happier or more positive. Example, a simple smile or compliment can brighten someone's day, especially if they're having a tough time.
Plant a tree. Meaning, literally planting a tree, but also used symbolically to represent doing something beneficial for the future. Example, planting a tree in your garden not only improves your surroundings, but also helps combat climate change. Lower a city's summer temperature by up to 8 degrees. Meaning, planting trees can cool cities by providing shade and reducing the heat. Example, by planting more trees, urban planners hope to lower the city's summer temperature by up to 8 degrees, making it more bearable during heat waves. That's it for today's episode of English Daily Podcast. Remember, even the smallest gesture can make someone's day a little better, and in turn, it'll lift your own spirits too. We hope these ideas inspired you to take action and spread some positivity. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
The problem with the fashion industry is that it relies on consumerism and new trends. The more clothes people buy, the happier the industry is.
Yes, but for this week's podcast in English.com, we're looking at how we can be fashionable and save the planet at the same time.
Richie, did you know that there was a problem with buying cotton things?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes, it uses a lot of water.
Yeah, and it has a really negative impact on the environment as a result. And also pesticides. They use a lot of pesticides. So people are trying to turn away from using cotton.
That's interesting. Because it has got a reputation of being a natural fibre. So, but it does use a lot of water. So what are the alternatives then, Jackie?
Well, not polyester, Richard.
No, because I don't like polyester.
Do you know it takes 200 years to decompose in landfill, polyester clothes?
Wow.
I know. So, in fact, the industry is looking at making clothes out of things like hemp.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Bamboo.
Bamboo clothes?
Yes, and lyocell, which is made from...
Lyocell. Wool, is it?
No, it's eucalyptus trees.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah. Okay, something else is less is more.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it doesn't really count for us, but actually people are buying more and more clothes.
I know. And their clothes are very cheap, aren't they? So that's why people buy clothes and then just throw them away afterwards.
Cheap clothes, often poorly made.
Yes.
And replaced every year, ending up in landfill.
Yes.
Okay, so it's much better to buy more expensive but better quality items.
Well, we've been doing that for years.
Yeah. But on the whole, I think it's become the norm not to do that. Don't shop, swap.
Right.
Okay, sometimes you're bored with the clothes that you're wearing, so I just don't want to wear that anymore. But there is a possibility that you might have a friend who would like to wear it.
Yes.
So you say, okay, I don't want to wear this shirt anymore. I'm fed up with it. Would you like it? And have you got something that I could have of yours?
Is that the same as buying at the second-hand shops?
Well, that's buying, isn't it, Richard, rather than swapping. But if you do want to get some money for your clothes, it is possible, of course, to buy and sell second-hand clothes online.
Right, okay. I think the problem with that is, though, you're talking about fashion as well. As fashions change.
That's a very good point, Richard. But actually, a lot of second-hand clothes have become more fashionable now.
Again, retro.
Yeah, vintage.
Right, okay.
And sites like Etsy and eBay are very popular for buying second-hand clothes.
And as we know, trends come and go and they come back again, don't they?
Exactly. Something else to think about, Richard.
Right.
Learn to sew. Now, do you remember...
I'm not sure about that one.
No, but do you remember, it wasn't that long ago that someone like your dad, once the collar on his shirt wore out, what did your mum do?
Got a new collar. They had collarless shirts, didn't they? And they replaced the collar.
Or not necessarily replace the collar. They turn it round and it's as good as new because the worn bit is now at the back and you can't see it.
Okay, I didn't know that, but I'll buy that.
So learn to sew or find a repair service.
Yes, Jackie, all these things are all well and good, but I think at the end of the day, you've really just got to buy things that you really need and really, really want.
Yes.
Ask yourself, how often am I going to wear this thing? Do I really need it? Have I got something similar that I already wear? My mum, she used to buy clothes and then tell me she'd never worn them.
Yeah, so it's a change of attitude, isn't it?
Let's learn some English expressions and idioms from the podcast, along with their meanings, explanations, and examples.
Not so long ago, meaning refers to something that happened recently in the past. Explanation. This phrase sets a casual and conversational tone to introduce a recent event. Example. Not so long ago, I decided to start learning a new language. Hand over, meaning to give something, especially when it is required or requested. Explanation often implies transferring possession or responsibility. Example. To enter the competition, you need to hand over the entry fee. At least, meaning a minimum amount or number, emphasizes the smallest acceptable level. Explanation indicates the lower limit of something. Example, you need to save at least $500 for the trip. Multiple choice, meaning the type of question where you choose the correct answer from several options. Explanation, commonly used in exams or tests to simplify answering. Example, the quiz was easy because all the questions were multiple choice. Let us down, meaning to disappoint someone or fail to meet their expectations. Explanation, often used when someone or something does not perform as hoped. Example, I thought the movie would be great, but it really let us down. Give you some example, meaning to provide specific instances to clarify or support a statement. Explanation, helps in explaining or illustrating a point. Example, let me give you some examples to make it clearer. We've got no idea, meaning to be completely unaware or clueless about something. Explanation, expresses uncertainty or lack of knowledge. Example, we've got no idea where he went after the meeting. Close together, meaning very similar or near in proximity, making it difficult to differentiate. Explanation, often used to describe similar options or things physically near each other. Example, the answers on the test were so close together that I couldn't decide which one was correct. Rather than, meaning instead of, used to show preference for one option over another. Explanation, introduces an alternative that is preferred. Example, we should focus on practical knowledge rather than theoretical details. Useful questions, meaning questions that provide value or practical knowledge. Explanation, highlights the importance or relevance of information. Example, the exam had many useful questions that tested real-world knowledge.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of the English Daily Podcast. We hope you learned something new and enjoyed our conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review to help others discover the podcast. You can also follow us on insert social media or platform details for more English tips and updates. Stay curious, keep practicing, and we'll see you next time on the English Daily Podcast. Take care and happy learning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name's Erica.
And I'm Marco.
So, Marco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm really looking forward to our lesson because we're going to the eye doctor today.
Okay, so we've got an elementary lesson about going to the eye doctor.
Yes.
Well, let's get started then with our vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
We have 3 words today in our vocabulary preview. All 3 words come from our dialogue. Our first word is struggle.
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 So, Marco, when I struggle to do something, what does that mean?
It means it's difficult. It means that you have a hard time, so you can't really do it very quickly.
So you have to try really hard.
You have to try really hard.
Yeah, to do something that's difficult.
Yes.
Okay, our next word is
blurry.
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 Blurry. B-L-U-R-R-Y.
Blurry. Whenever something is blurry, you can't really see it well.
It's not clear.
Right.
That's right. Everything will be blurry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and our final word is
prescription.
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 Often when you go to the doctor and you need some medicine, he writes out a prescription.
Right. A little paper that says all the medicine that you need, and then you can go to the drugstore and buy it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those 3 words you'll hear in today's dialogue, and I think it's time we listen to the dialogue.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches, and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you might be farsighted. Okay, then, cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, E, R, 3, question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's the peace sign.
Wow, Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay then. Head over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
Well, this guy really has poor vision, hey? Well, actually, you know what? I've walked into the bathroom, the men's bathroom, actually, instead of the women's bathroom. And that's not because I wasn't wearing my glasses.
It's because you weren't paying attention.
That's true.
Okay, let's take a look today at our language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
The first word on our language takeaway for today is 2020 vision.
2020 vision.
2020 vision.
If I have 2020 vision,
it means that you have perfect vision.
Which I do not have.
No, me neither. So I usually wear glasses as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, people that have 20/20 vision don't need glasses. They can see clearly.
And perfectly.
And perfectly.
Yeah. Next word is far-sighted.
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 So if I'm far-sighted, I can't see very well, right?
So if you're far-sighted, you can see things that are near.
So you can see things that are far away.
Right.
But things that are close are blurry. Okay.
And the opposite would be?
Nearsighted.
And which is?
You can see things that are close well.
But not far.
Yeah. Okay.
Far-sighted and nearsighted.
Okay, so our next word is make out.
Make out.
Make out.
Make out.
Make out. That's kind of a funny little phrase. And let's listen to a few examples of this phrase so we can understand how it's used.
Example 1.
I can't make out what this says. The writing is too small.
Example 2.
If you look carefully, you can almost make out a few of the stars in the sky.
Example 3.
Can you see what's written on the sign there?
No, I can't quite make it out.
Okay, so basically make out is to see clearly.
Exactly.
Make out.
To see.
Okay, and our last word for language takeaway today is blind as a bat.
Blind as a bat.
Blind as a bat.
So this is a really funny sounding expression, one of these weird English idioms.
Yeah, it's a really common expression that just means that you can't see.
Exactly. So it's not like you actually are blind, right?
But you just really can't see very well.
Okay. All right, we saw 4 great words today in our language takeaway. Now I think we can listen to our dialogue another time.
But this time it's going to be slower so we can pick up all these great words that we just talked about.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches, and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you may be farsighted. Okay, then. Cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, E, R, 3... question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's a peace sign.
Wow. Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay, then. Head on over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
All right, great stuff on our dialogue. And with this, we can start now with putting it together.
Putting it together.
So we saw a couple useful phrases in this dialogue, and I think we can show you how to use these phrases in a few different ways.
Right. The first one that we have today is what seems to be.
So we heard in the dialogue, the doctor said...
What seems to be the problem?
We can use this same expression in a number of different ways. Let's listen.
Example 1.
What seems to be the problem?
Example 2.
What seems to be the matter?
Example 3.
What seems to be the trouble?
Okay, so with these examples, we can see how we can use the phrase, what seems to be, in many different ways.
Yeah, it's a great way of asking, what's the problem?
So now let's take a look at another phrase.
We heard in the dialogue, the doctor said, head on over to the other room.
Right. And with this phrase, head on, we can combine it with other prepositions to indicate another place.
Exactly. Let's hear 3 examples.
Example 1.
Head on in.
Example 2.
Head on out.
Example 3.
Head on up.
Okay, so for example, we can say, head on into the house. It's gonna rain soon.
Or we can say, hey guys, let's head on out to the park.
Or I can also say, head on up to my room. I'll be there in a second.
Great. Those are some cool phrases.
Right, and they're real useful.
So why don't we listen to our dialogue and maybe we'll hear them again.
Hello, Arthur. What seems to be the problem?
Hey, Doc. Well, I think I might need glasses. I'm getting headaches, and I really struggle to see things that are far away. But I've always had 20/20 vision.
Sounds like you might be farsighted. Okay, then, cover your left eye and read the chart in front of you.
X, E, R, 3, question mark, and I can't quite make out the other symbol, but I think it's the peace sign.
Wow, Arthur, you're as blind as a bat.
Yeah, I know. My vision is really blurry at times.
Okay, then. Head over to the other room and pick out some frames while I fill out your prescription.
Thanks, Doc.
Arthur, that's the bathroom.
Okay, so talking about going to the eye doctor today, I have a question for our listeners.
A challenge for the listeners.
What's it called when you can't distinguish colors?
So like when you can't tell the difference between red and blue and green.
Right. So what is that condition called? So
there's like a technical term. We want the technical term.
We want the technical term. So we'll be looking for it on our comments page, and be sure to, if you know the answer, post it.
Also, if you have questions about today's lesson or any other lesson, please come and visit our website and ask us.
Yeah, we hope to see you there, but until then, it's
goodbye.
All right, Amira is here today, and she is going to tell us about the wonderful lesson she has prepared this time.
Well, thank you, Marco. Well, today we have a very interesting lesson prepared for you. It's about someone cutting in line.
Cutting in line, okay.
Yeah, it happens all the time, and we all get very upset about it, but, you know, it happens.
Right, right. Well, I imagine that everyone is wondering what cutting in line is. Why don't we just listen to the dialogue one time, and then when we come back, Amira and I will gladly explain all the vocabulary in this dialogue.
Let's listen.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
Whoa, I think there's punching.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this guy he's just a crazy, I don't know, impatient man, huh?
Yes, but we don't want to talk about this now. But for now, we will treat some of the vocabulary and very useful phrases in the dialogue.
Great.
So, Marco, do you want to start?
Yes, let's take a look at our first word would be unbelievable.
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 Exactly, and just how you say it, it's something incredible, something amazing.
Yeah, but I would like to point out that unbelievable was used here to describe the man's frustration. He's not happy about the traffic in New York.
Exactly, perfect. Okay, in the next part, the woman, she's trying to calm and relax her husband, and she says that they'll be in Hawaii in a few hours, and you'll be on the golf course.
Right, so we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Yes, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
So this is a great way of talking about your physical location in the future.
Right. So for example, Amira, tomorrow where will you be?
Don't worry, Marco. I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Perfect, right? That's where I need you to be.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I have another interesting phrase here for you. Must be a mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
Now, that's basically not a mile. It's not a kilometer long, but it's another way of saying that this line is really, really long.
Right, it's just an exaggeration. Now let's take a look at there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Perfect. Let's listen to some other examples on how we use there's no way in a different situation, and then we can come back and talk about it a little bit more.
There's no way I can have those reports finished today.
The stadium is so crowded that there's no way we'll find a seat.
Do you think Michael's going to buy that house?
There's no way he has enough money to buy it.
All right, everyone. So there's no way is another way of saying it is impossible.
Exactly. There's no way you should miss this podcast, right?
Yes. Well, I have another phrase for you as well. Cut in line.
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 So again, we have some really good examples on how you could use this phrase in different situations. Let's listen to the examples and then we can come back and talk about it some more.
Excuse me, I'm really late. Can I cut in line, please?
I hate it when people cut in line at the bank. It's so rude.
I think it's okay when a pregnant woman cuts in line.
All right, everyone. Cut in line.
Right, so from the examples, we can understand that it means when you are standing in line somewhere and somebody gets in front of you.
Right. I have another phrase for you here. Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Okay, now sue me is not a nice phrase. If you hear that, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's kind of rude, I guess, to say sue me.
Right. Well, it actually means like taking someone to court and asking for money because someone has harmed you in a way. I think that we should listen to the dialogue one more time and try to figure out why he used that phrase and if he's really going to take him to court.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first, and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
All right, we're back. Now, this guy, when he says sue me, he's just being rude. I mean, he's just being kind of
impolite
and telling him, I don't care.
Right, exactly.
Like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, today in the studio, we have a guest. Her name is Sarah, and she's from England.
Hi there.
Hello.
All right. So we're going to be asking her a couple of questions, and she'll be a frequent guest on our show, so you can expect to hear from her a lot.
Well, she didn't know that.
it's a surprise.
She knows now.
Well, Sarah, our topic today is about jumping the queue.
Okay, Amira, wait. What is this jump the queue?
It's the same as cut in line, but in British English.
Ah, okay.
Yes, queuing. It's very important in England. We're very proud of our queues. It's true. It's true.
So what would be the reaction of people if they cut in line?
I think we do take it very seriously. I'm laughing now, but it's quite serious. So you don't jump the queue. If people jump in front of you, it's you get a little tuts and sort of, you shouldn't be doing that. And we make it very obvious. And
so you say it out loud.
We would perhaps say something. And we have systems. In London on the metro. On the underground, you have to stand on the escalators on the right and queue, and you can't jump in front. You have to walk on the left and queue on the right. And it's all very serious. There's rules and regulations.
Is there like a queue handbook that you have to read in high school and kind of take a test on?
Perhaps there should be. Yeah.
Wow.
What about New York, Marco?
Well, no, definitely. I guess this dialogue is similar to a reality of New York. If somebody gets in front of you or cuts the line, somebody's going to say something and probably end up in a fight if the guy is rude. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, why don't you tell us, is there a line or a queue for almost everything in England?
It seems like we do just like to form a queue. Yeah. So,
Can you think of like some other examples of where you would normally you wouldn't queue, but you do?
Oh, gosh. Things like in the supermarket when you're trying to find some vegetables or something. I'd never sort of reach round or anything. I'd sort of wait until that person had finished picking up their stuff and then go in. So just try and...
So if like 5 people want to buy oranges at the supermarket, then you have a little mini queue of 5 people
maybe a little bit. Just,
waiting.
There's no sort of just shoving through it to the front. You just don't do that.
So you don't stick your hand out and grab like a tomato.
Well, if you do, again, you would make sure that person knows. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just in a hurry or whatever. But yeah, it's just letting someone go before you. It's a courtesy, I think.
Okay.
It's quite important to us.
All right.
Right.
Great
well,
stuff.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have you back very soon. So, all right, we're out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow with another lesson. And be sure to visit our website. Don't forget that EnglishPod.com has many, many resources and also a community of users and teachers that can help you answer questions and interact with you.
Yes, and you should definitely leave your suggestions. But for now, I wish you all well and bye.
Bye.